Welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Elizabeth Colucci. I'm representing Obrial, an interregional association for higher education for development, who's partnering with SARUA, the Southern African Regional University Association, here represented by my colleague Renee, to bring you the second edition of this webinar series on the Engaged University. We're very excited for today's topic. Indeed, this is the second edition. Many of you will have joined us 2 weeks ago where we had an introductory webinar. We hope that you are repeating, that you're continuing the journey with us. We have a series of 5 webinars for you. And as advertised, for those who complete the journey of the 5 webinars and the corresponding reflection quizzes that are offered after the webinars, you will be able to receive a certificate of participation. Before we get started today, I wanted to make a few technical announcements. So please do actively share with us in the chat. You'll notice there's both a Q&A icon and a chat icon. You can share in either. We prefer you use the chat, but we will check both. We will have 2 high-level and interesting speakers today. We have received apologies from the rector that was supposed to join us from Colombia, who's had a last-minute medical emergency. But nonetheless, we will be making her presentation available for you on the website dedicated to this series so that you can have access to that case study when you reflect on today's topic. Indeed, our mission here is to provide an interregional perspective, so we hope you do consider that. Also, in terms of technical announcements, we will try to keep the session to an hour and a half today. We would like this to be lively. We will be constantly monitoring the chat. So like I said, please don't be shy. We will have presentations, but we will also have opportunities to take questions from the chat to debate them. In general, we look forward to collecting and also summarizing those different reflections that you share from us. I'm going to give a few introductory statements regarding today's topic and also a very short introduction on Obrial. I'm going to hand the floor over to my colleague Renee, who will speak briefly about SARUA and remind you about how SARUA is committed to this particular topic, the Engaged University. My colleague Kabrom, who you see on the screen as well, will then take you through a short Mentimeter exercise, and then we'll get into the core content of today. So today's topic, incorporating engagement into institutional strategy and M&E systems. So we're going to be looking much more at the topic from the perspective of how universities strategize around it and how they measure and monitor impact around engagement. This is just to remind you the overall objective of this series. So to facilitate an in-depth interregional discussion and knowledge sharing on the concept of the engaged university and all of its iterations and its significance, to explore the integration of societal engagement into the core academic activities of HEIs and the development of meaningful relationships with local communities to produce meaningful knowledge, and to explore the institutional conditions for the integration of engagement, including ways in which engagement may be embedded within strategies, like we will see today, and also institutional design. And we're doing all of this in an interregional perspective. Again, this is the core mission of Obrial, to bring these types of discussions to an interregional venue, to compare common experiences, shared challenges, and also divergences, and to come up potentially and ideally with common solutions or shared solutions, and most importantly, to trigger more dialogue and more collaboration between different world regions. In this particular webinar, we will look at how HEIs have integrated into engagement into their strategic plans, which can be a roadmap for aligning academic activities with societal needs and priorities. And we will study interregionally examples and best practices of how HEIs have successfully incorporated engagement into the strategy, again, referring to different contexts. We would like our speakers to focus on, in some instances, partnership models for community engagement, also looking at how impact is measured when it comes to the SDGs, but more broadly engagement, and also how impact of societal engagement is communicated. Our speakers, again, Professor Martisa Rondon has excused herself. We will try to make the slides available to you. Professor Maria Jean Tirupati, Deputy Vice Chancellor from UNICAF University in Zambia, and Gemma de la Cado Puerto, who is the General Coordinator of the EU Green European University Alliance at the University of Extremadura. Just to remind you about where we sit in the series, this is number 2. We have 3 more webinars coming. Please note the dates. You will receive reminders. And in between these webinars, you are invited to complete a reflection survey, which we will be studying, which will feed into a report that will be an output of this webinar series. But please do stay tuned because we have interesting topics coming as well. Universities, engaged universities for innovation, internationalization and capacity building for local engagement, and engaged universities for development, a multi-regional policy perspective. Before we get into the Mentimeter exercise, I would like to invite my colleague, Georgina, to share with you a very, very short video. This is something we didn't have the opportunity to do in our first edition, but I think it's important for you to understand a little bit better who and what Obrial is and does. And hopefully this video should give you a flavor, and we invite you, of course, to visit our website for more information.
Obrial is an organisation that promotes inter-regional dialogue, composed of higher education institutions, university associations and cooperation agencies from all latitudes. We were born in Barcelona, a city that represents our values: innovation, inclusion, plurality and multilingualism. We work to promote education and development with the conviction that through dialogue and connection we can understand each other better and build a more just reality. In the world, there is not only one north or one south, there are multiple and different norths and souths. Our mission is to build bridges between different regions to encourage cooperation, exchange and mutual recognition. We act based on priorities identified by local players and generate knowledge in a flexible, multilingual and circular manner. Promoting interregional political dialogue, building capacities and promoting critical knowledge of diverse realities. At Obrial, we think that development should come from the territories themselves and the people who inhabit them. Obrial is a cross-cutting, multilingual and interregional project that combines efforts to build shared solutions to the common development challenges shared by the different norths and the different souths. We must do it for ourselves, but above all, for the generations that will succeed us.
Okay, thanks so much, Georgina. You'll find that video on our website. We're very proud of it. And I think it captures also the spirit of the dialogue that we're having here today. I would like to pass the floor to Renee Pellissier, who joins us from Sarua, from South Africa, who will say a few words about Sarua, again, a member and strategic partner of Obrial, and specifically a partner in this webinar series.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I was watching the video and I thought, how fantastic to join this collaboration and to become friends with Obrial in the way that we have done. So I share the thoughts that you were presenting in terms of North and South and the work that we do together. Thank you. So I'm Renee Pellissier. I welcome you on behalf of SARUA, the Southern African Regional Universities Association. I'm based in Cape Town, so I'm talking to you from where I'm sitting in a little bit of rain today. It's wonderful to be here and just share a little bit about SARUA. we feel it's our mission to provide our member universities across the SADC. That's the Southern African Development Region in the southern tip of Africa, made up out of 17 countries, to become the power of the network, to work together and to engage together. And a deep part of what we do at Sarua is about the engaged university and engaging through networking. Our goals are in terms of developing of the society, engagement, of developing higher education with our member universities, and to ensure that there's network capacity and development and operational excellence in everything that we do. In order to do that, we've identified 4 strategic focus areas lie at the heart of how we translate what we're wanting to do in terms of how we do that. So I lead the strategic focus area knowledge co-production. There's a focus area on leadership and professional development. There's one on digital transformation. There's one on institutional quality management. So the reason why I'm here is because the work within our knowledge co-production focus area fits within the engaged university. So some of the activities that we've concluded is a climate change and sustainable development program across the SADC. We've recently finished an industrial pharmacy fellowship where we developed the value chain understanding in industrial pharmacy across the SADC with specific countries. We're currently working on a project with the IDRC on research for societal impact. We are leading the Engage SDG project, which is a 3-year project towards capacity development towards the engaged university. We are working with the SADC on the building of the SADC University of Transformation, and then we have other projects in line that we've applied for. In all of these projects, we work with our partner universities in the SADC. The reason I'm mentioning this is because the spin-off of today's work really comes from our Engaged SDG project, which is working towards developing a framework for capacity development in specifically participatory approaches, but towards engaging and towards implementing the SDGs. And in that participatory framework, we're working with European universities and SADC universities together to build the capacity towards this program. I don't want to take more of your time. I just thought to share where Sarua fits into our interregional dialogue and how happy we are that the Engage SDG program is linked to the interregional dialogue series that we're working here today. Thanks, Elizabeth. I'm handing back to you.
Great, thanks so much, Renee. And yeah, we're very proud of the Engage SDG project. It's just launched a few months ago, so there will be more to come, and it will also be a tangible way to follow up this interregional dialogue series in the context of the SADC environment. I would like to now, before we dig into the presentations, I would like to offer the floor to my colleague Karom Hele, who is going to do a quick Mentimeter exercise with you just to get a sense of who you are in the audience today and also what your expectations and experiences are.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome all. I will share the Mentimeter exercise now. Okay, now you can you see the code?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Oh, we already have people responding. Great.
Yeah.
So if you go to menti.com, introduce the code, and then you should be able to respond. We'll give you just a minute or so to get in and to answer this question. My colleague Eloy has put the link in the chat in case people have questions, the menti.com link. Give you just another 30 seconds or so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, to next question.
We've just reposted in the chat the link and the code
Mm.
for those who are asking. So are you aware if your university has integrated engagement into its strategic plan? So far, the majority say yes, so that's positive. And not applicable, of course, if you're not coming from a university or a higher education institution. We give you a pass on this question. Oh, someone didn't have time to answer the first question. Sorry for that. We'll give you 30 more seconds for this one. I hope everyone is in to the Mentimeter. Okay, can we move on?
Few seconds more. Yes.
Okay. Describe, so this is a word cloud. Describe in 2 words challenges universities in your region face in measuring the impact of community engagement. And we challenge you to put that into 2 short words because it's a word cloud, so it would require a very short response.
Mm.
Yeah, funding sits in the middle.
Mhm. Commitment as well.
Ah, okay. Tools, that's interesting. Policy. It's moving fast, but I'm seeing a lot of words that are similar to fragmentation, disarticulation, meaning that there might be fragmented efforts in the university.
Okay.
Wait 1 sec, let's study that. That's interesting. Still, let's give it 20 more seconds. We will share this in the report from this series as well. I always like to capture these images. Interesting, I saw somewhere in there someone put student involvement.
Mm.
Again, tools, policy, funding, and commitment seem to be the most clustered around the center. And I've also seen lack of quality standards floating around as well. Great. Okay, Kibom, do you want to go on to we have one more, right?
Yep.
And this is just to know where everyone is from. And it's also a word cloud, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so just very easy. See, we have a bit of a competition between South Africa and Argentina. Could certainly translate that to other athletic spheres, I imagine. Mexico, Kenya, Spain, Cameroon, Ghana, DRC, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Angola. Great. Africa. Africa is your country. I like that. Equatorial Guinea. Great. Mali, someone put in the chat as well. We won't forget you. Malawi.
Mm.
Nigeria has come up, maybe in 5th place. Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, good. So
Thank you.
suggest, is there one more? No, we're done, right?
We're done, yeah.
Okay, thanks so much. Thank you, everyone. No, that was more just to get a bit of a snapshot and also just to capture the internationality of the crowd here. So we really appreciate that. We're going to get into the presentations. We're going to take one presentation, have a space whereby we can exchange, ask questions, answer your questions from the chat. We'll go into the second presentation, repeat the round of exchanges, and then have a round all together at the end with our 2 speakers where we can interact all together. So first, I would like to introduce Dr. Mariarajan Tirupati, who holds an interdisciplinary PhD in community governance and resource management, and is currently serving as an associate professor and deputy vice chancellor for research and innovation at UNICAF University in Zambia. His cutting-edge research in the areas of sustainable livelihood, community governance, exclusion of marginalized communities, fisheries management, traditional knowledge, climate vulnerability and resilience, and sustainable agriculture have been published extensively in books and journals. He is a well-known educationalist with a background in action research. In his role as research supervisor and teacher, he is also collaborating with local, national, and international and intergovernmental organizations. He is engaged in action research, development, and outreach initiatives. He provides training, curricula development, and program accreditation consultancy services to universities and nonprofit organizations, and serves as an active member of editorial boards, as well as an external examiner and adjunct professor for numerous organizations and institutions. And again, that is only the short version of his CV. We could go on. So please, the floor is yours, Professor, and we're very grateful for your presence today.
My name is shortly Mariarajan. When I received this title, I questioned myself. I'm the right person to speak this title, though along with the research. Then I thought that how I'm performing, I try to recollect myself to share my experience. That's my expectation for this presentation. But I'm trying to catch up with the Yemeni system, but still I'm not 100% sure. Am I doing Yemeni properly for engagement? But I'm trying to share my experience as an DVC research and innovation for the last 2 years. To say something about UNICAF, I just wanted to introduce my topic. My introduction is restricted with the context of Zambia. Mostly in higher education institutions. Nowadays, it's increasingly both internationally as well as regional context. Social engagement or societal engagement is is one of the priority area for academic institutions. Somehow it's a need. It's there is a need, is growing need. We need to traveling towards in that line. But when you see the practical context, traditionally most of the universities, they were looking at the engagement only from academic point of view. Or I can able to say how I am going to engage my students through community engagement programs, how I am going to facilitate teaching practice, or how I am going to make times that we as a higher education institution, we are trying to give exposure to our students. That's the way we are looking at community engagements, by offering practical trainings to our students rather than making them to engagement in a central component of our institutions. This is the traditional thinking. Still it is going on, but internationally and regional context, there is a push to look at the engagement from central point of view of our institutions. That is the context I'm talking here. Before going to the main topic, how I understood the engagement, being a participatory practitioner for more than a decade, myself, I'm seeing engagement is it's an integral aspect of the soul of the university, because the very existence of university supposed to contribute to the local community as well as the general populations of our nations. So I'm seeing engagement as integral aspect of the soul of the university, and trying to define the deployment of our research and teaching for the purpose of responding to the societal need and also to learning from them, learning from the community whom we are working. So our presence supposed to be to do a service. Our very purpose is to do a service to the community through our teaching and learning process, and also we need to learn from the community. That's the way I'm looking at engagement. So we as an university, we were trying to give something to the community, and also in turn we are also trying to learn from the community. That's the way I'm looking at the engagement. So when you are applying this one, how you are going to make yourself as an whole institutions to the engagement process, how you are going to make engagement is a central place to our institutional operations. This responsibility nowadays, it's engagement is become integral part of our overall development plan. I can say the core development plans and our policies were taking engagement into a central place. For example, most of the universities in Zambia, especially the public universities and few private universities, now we were trying to contribute our support to the implementation of SDG goals. So almost from UNICEF point of view, we were trying to contribute one or two SDGs in a purposeful manner. So that's the way each universities, they were giving a support or a push to the national government to support SDGs. So I'm looking at engagement from this point of view. My takeaway here, we were giving our services, educational services to the community, and also trying to learn from the community. This is how I'm looking at engagement. So in with this theoretical background, I'm looking at the engagement. Being an engaged university, we need to set it up ourselves on a threefold approach. In Zambia, we have a policy, the Higher Education Act, number 4 of 2013. It's though it's more than 15 years old act, but we have recently, it was amended with a few more provisions to encourage engagements. 2021, the Higher Education Amendment Act was amended with a few more provisions to introduce research and innovation and community engagement very recently. So that gave a cushion for universities to come up with a separate setup for research and innovations. That's how I'm leading UNICAF University as an DVC Research and Innovations. So this is the instrument universities are supposed to establish within their institutions. So the policy is there to establish your community engagement through Amendment Act. So when this Amendment Act insists all the universities, they're supposed to have established a separate research wing, which is supposed to support the National Development plans and also our Vision 2030. So that's how we have a policy setup. This policy setup is emphasized through certain measured strategies. Even the strategies also we can able to draw from Zambia standards and guidelines for quality assurance mechanisms in higher education. It's a very stipulated guideline with each and every standards prescribed. Standard number 8 is straight away prescribing how engaged university is supposed to do research and innovations. What are all the components that is supposed to be there? Then strategy number 14, it clearly stipulates how to do collaborative approach in your research, in your teaching, whatever may be. So there is clear strategies were laid down under Zambia standards and guidelines for quality assurance in higher educations. So when it comes to practice, here each universities were allowed, or each universities are insisted to establish a mechanism by themselves. The mechanism how you are going to do your research and innovations. There are way you can establish by yourself, but it is going to be the practice supposed to be tailored to meet the strategies stipulated in the standards and qualities. So any university, they must go with the institutional audit, and also they should go with the university classification audit, then program accreditation audit. These are all the 3 audit is going to measure your practice as an individual institutions. So if you are doing a research, how much your research is impactful in terms of reaching out the community. It's going to be measured. It's going to be given. It is going to given some scores. This scores ultimately decide your performance in terms of higher educations. This is the context in Zambia in paper. So even since our webinar 2, it's specifically concentrating on collaborations. So these are all the, there are 2 standards stipulated in the guideline, and also what are all the activity you need to engage yourselves. You need to have, for example, if you are a higher education institution, you should promote a culture and societal engagement or public service engagement. So you need to do community engagement. Each institution, they should come up with the community engagement policy, then corporate social responsibility policy, consultancy policy, then system of reporting, monitoring and evaluations, mechanism for disseminating the outcomes. These are all the things are must. The same way, you need to establish forms of collaborations among national, regional, international higher education institutions and other actors. So this is clearly stipulated in the guideline. I'm going to share, based on this background, I'm going to share the experiences of UNICAF. That's why I said, am I following all these standards and guidelines when it comes to practice? I will share my experience. Then maybe you can say, am I in right track or not? That's up to you to decide. So before going to share my experience in terms of engagement, I need to give a bit of background about UNICAF. UNICAF University is a Pan-African university. Our presence is in Zambia and Malawi as an university. Apart from that, we have 15 centers around Africa, but Zambia is the hub for entire Africa. Around 35,000 students were part of UNICEF setup. So the research and engagement, UNICEF is committed ourselves as a research and innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem we were trying to establish in our setup to support the development agendas of Zambia and also the African Union agendas. That's our overall vision for UNICEF as an institutions. So this is our university commitment since we are working entire African region. So you are trying to do something different from traditional universities. So UNICEF is integrated the engagement into our institutional mission statement and also the vision statements. So our vision to be a renowned research and innovation entrepreneurial hub for transformation of the nation and also the region. Our vision of distinct contributions to the socio-economic well-being and sustainability of our society through targeted research. So the major thing we started in 2018, research we give importance after 2020. That's when the standard guidelines were started. So we were established a specific vision and mission for research and innovations. Now it is part and parcel of overall development agenda of our institution. Under our strategic plan, research also get prominence. The research and the engagement is also got prominence in the overall institutional strategic plans. There are two areas we developed based on our strategic planning. So one is UNICEF Research Development Strategy for 2022 to 2026. Then we have, based on the strategic plan, we developed operational plans. So I come across with 1 year 2022 to 2023. It's an initial period. Now we are in the second year of 2022-2026 strategic plans. So we have 4 strategic areas for research and engagement. We established a distinct research cluster which focuses on university research as well as directing the student community also to do research under our research clusters. So we are motivating students to take research activity under our clusters. That clusters ultimately contributing to the national development plans. Then we are continuously, our second strategic areas, continuously to develop and strengthen the research capacity and productivity and research output of our faculty as well as students. Then we have promoting research dissemination activity through our targeted audience. We have our own journals, publications, and mechanisms. Then fourth one, we were trying to create enabling environment for research innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem. From my assessment, we are forefront in strategy number 1 and 2. The strategy number 3 and 4, still we are trying to roll out the activities. Part of strategy number 1, we established a full-fledged research and innovation department, which is headed by me. We have a research and innovation center for doing STEM-related research. Currently, we have there are 2 research projects going on for producing bioethanol from SEMA waste. SEMA waste is one of the major urban waste in Lusaka. We were trying to support Lusaka city area to support how to do to solve the problems. Then we have research clusters. Each cluster is headed by our deans. These clusters were focusing on particular the schools. The cluster, we have inclusive education cluster, then sustainability cluster, then financial inclusion cluster, then we have health related clusters. So most of these clusters were formed based on the focus of the schools. Then the students also participating in the cluster level activities in terms of research and engagement. Then we have research ethics committee, which handling any research and engagement related activities under research ethics, because the research ethics committee is registered with National Health Research Authorities. So this is the official setup we established to motivate our faculty members, students, to take forward the research agenda to the community level and also national level. The engagement, so the clusters and our department as well as we came up with the last 2 years time, we came up with 7 serious memorandum of understanding with the different stakeholders. For example, we have a stakeholder from NGO community, Center for Environmental Justice. They are very eminent group by involving community engagement research in terms of environmental dialogues. Then we have another member that's related to organizational development related research among the academic institution and practitioners. Their level of research and engagement is a little different from the previous one. Previous one more on community-based research. The second engagement is directly relating with the organizational development related engagements. Then we tried to do some health related research along with public university in Zambia, Levi Manawasa University, but which is not working the way which we expected. But then the fourth one, Huddersfield University, it's one of the successful intervention we achieved through engagement, because how you are going to engage with an institution, it depends upon the commitment between the people who are engaging with your activities. It's not like an institutional to institutional engagement. The interest between two parties, that's very much important. Through this engagement with the Huddersfield University, UK, we did a giant research and training program. This ultimately brings more than 16 dementia care coaches. We train and we did a small research to see the efficacy of FIDS approach, field intervention and training approach. We did. This is one of the eminent practice in UK, which handling dementia with the patients. So we developed more than 15 dementia care coaches in Zambia. They are the first batch of trainees who can able to handle both dementia patients as well as the caregivers. They are the first of its kinds in Zambia. We can able to probably say the giant effort between Huddersfield and Unica. We brought 15 medical practitioners as a specialized practitioner for dementia related issues. So now the Ministry of Health asked us to expand this attempt to rest of the level 1 hospitals here. We started with the Kanyama Hospital. Now ministries asked us to expand this effort. Then we currently have in initial stage, we are planning with the University of Johannesburg. We are planning to do master classes for law students and also faculty lead book projects. It is in initial stage, and also we have Ghent University from Belgium to initiate some regional level research activity and transboundary issues related to migrations. And also Lusaka Chamber of Commerce, we are trying to establish entrepreneurial hub within our campus. These are all the engagement currently going on based on the cluster approach we established already. The same engagement when it comes to curriculum integrations, because we are doing a lot of activities at the community level, how you are going to integrate the learnings from what you learned from the community, how you are going to integrate with your curriculums. That's one of the biggest challenging area. So we are working with the Sarua myself, part of Sarva community engagement activities. The MSc Climate Change and Sustainable Development curriculum was developed by Sarva. That curriculum, UNICEF is trying to incorporate, because UNICEF already established MSc Sustainable Development program, which was accredited by Higher Education Authority. Now in the process of making relevant changes to get few modules from MSc Climate Change and Sustainable Development curriculum, which the climate change part we were missed in our earlier curriculum. We are trying to bring out the climate change part into our existing program. Then we have some programs that are targeting the faculty members to get engaged with the individual research project. So we were giving some incentives to the faculty members to initiate micro level projects in the targeted communities. When it comes to evaluation and impact our assessment, we have a mechanisms. Whatever you are doing, I'm making a weekly research activity report, which reporting directly to the strategic research strategic plan indicators. So I'm trying to report certain based on the indicators developed under research strategic plan on weekly basis. The same is also each schools, they were endorsed to do a faculty level report, which also going into the annual faculty level report as well. So in the end of the year, each year we are coming up with the community engagement report from research department. This is the process we established. I'm not saying I did full-fledged. I did effectively to capture all the targets achieved what we planned. It's assessing this one. It's not that we started, but we established a system. We are not done any assessment for evaluation and impact related things since we started just 2 years ago. But at one point we need to establish an assessment framework as well. That's why I'm eager to understand this context along with the Saru as well. But I'm able to say, I can able to say in a commendable manner, we established a well-established communication and outreach platforms. So now UNICEF University, after this applying engaged university concept, UNICEF employs various communication strategies. The UNICEF University website now it have a research section. That research sections established with social media reporting mechanisms, community events, success stories, and the dissemination of research event, everything. When you're looking at our website, you'll find the research agenda, research centers, research groups, newsletters. You can get it even as the repository we established after this to conceive ourselves as an goal towards engaged university spectrum. Though it is come as an audit indicators, but the way we looked at the engagement, then it made us to establish these things in a professional manner. Now you can see it from UNICEF research website. It have all the necessary facilities to communicate with our stakeholders. But still I'm saying, I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing is right, but I'm facing a lot of challenges as an individual as well as an institutions. Still we have limited understanding and awareness how you are going to interpret your understanding, because I said earlier, as an education institution, you have a mandate of teaching and learning services to the community, and also you need to learn from the community. That level of understanding about the engaged university is not yet realized at the institutional level. Maybe I'm coming from a participatory approach background, I may understand, but the whole institutions, before setting up the strategic plan, we never did any community engagement. We established a strategic plan, after that, we are trying to establish here and there how you are going to serve the community. That's an approach we are following. But it's supposed in another way. Before establishing our strategic plan, we need to do some stakeholder engagement for establishing a strategic plan. That part we missed, since we are the corporate organizations. We came up from the top-down approach. It's supposed to come from down to top. That's my understanding. Then still we have resource constraint, though aggregate number of percentage of resources you need to collect it for your research and engagement activity, but still we are not yet reached that level of regular allocation for
Sorry, I think the connection is cutting just a little bit. We're losing you just a little bit. I think it's cutting a bit.
Policy and regulatory environment, it's there, but when it comes to practice activities, still we are not reaching the policy and environment.
Okay, it looks like we had a connection issue, but I think Professor Tirupati was just coming to the end of his presentation with a reflection on the challenges. So if we get him back, we'll allow him to make some last comments. I took a lot of interesting points from that presentation, in particularly how he was commenting about learning from the community, how it's reciprocal. It's not just about the university engaging outwards towards the community. It's about the university and its constituency also learning reciprocally from the community, and how the community also has to inform strategy. So if he manages to come back, I would invite him also to reflect on that point. I noted a question that has to do with the organizational structure of the institution, particularly referencing the technology transfer offices and whether or not they're embedded in the clusters. We'll hold that. Hopefully, he will be able to join us again to respond to that question. But I think that case study was quite illustrative. We looked at the policy concept in Zambia that's incentivizing engagement. We looked at the university structure in the case of his particular institution. He commented on partnership models and also international collaboration partnership models, and also on the communications strategy. Maria Jean, you're back with us. We lost you for a moment. If you could just wrap up in 1 minute, because we're getting a little tight on time, and I'll let you do your conclusion. You need to unmute. I think you're still on mute.
Zambia is facing power challenges here.
Okay. Yeah, please do your conclusion. If you could just 1 more minute, and then we'll take one question for you.
So from my understanding, there is a limited understanding and awareness about engaged university. Resource constraint is faced by almost all the universities. We have policy and regulatory environment, but still it needs to make sure things are in order. Then infrastructure and connectivity issues are always there. Then we need a little bit of capacity building and skill development, which is very recently taken up by HEA itself. Then I'm sharing evaluation and impact assessments are necessary. Though we started 2 years ago, but still we are not going in that part, evaluation and impact assessment for the benefit of our engagement platforms. So on the whole, I'm saying, overall, a successful institutional approach to engaged university, you require to a strong leadership commitment and collaborations, partnership, and institutional support structures which will make a vibrant university for your community. That's what I want to say. Still, I leave it to the participants to decide. I leave it to them in the form of questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your modesty. I think this has been a particularly illustrative case. Thank you for also mentioning the challenges. What I commented when you were briefly cut out was that it's very interesting to hear how you reflected on the need to learn more from the community and how that's something, perhaps the stakeholder mapping and stakeholder engagement in informing the strategic plan was maybe something that was missing or could have been done better. And I think that reflection is very valuable for this audience. There was one question I saw in the Q&A. The question was, why does your organizational structure have technology transfer offices? Or is that functionality embedded in one of the clusters? So that's a structural issue. Maybe you could comment on that.
The technology transfer, we are not yet reached the level of transferring technology. We just initiated a few research which community needs. So that's what we established, a small research to come up with solving a problem of urban waste management. Energy is a secondary issue, but we are trying to solve the waste management related thing. How we are just wanted to show the urban waste supposed to be converted into other form. That's the one we tried. But maybe in long run, we can able to think about to establish technology transfer related mechanisms in our research department. Right now, we don't have that. I'm not confident enough to go in that line.
Okay, thank you. I actually had a question, if I may. You talked about incentives for faculty members, for them to engage in micro-level projects. How would you evaluate that? Do you think it has been successful? Do you think that over time you have built more engagement, if I can use that word, from the faculty, more faculty-led organic projects? How could that incentivization system be improved? What would you say?
We were tried last year because this approach came up with one of the research assistants. He's the one who came up with that community engagement project because a lot of people are involved in it's a level of academic research. So that research assistant, he came up with the idea of converting SEMA waste into bioethanol. So to collect SEMA waste from a compound, then using a bioreactor to convert that one into energy. So we were supported that initiative by giving around 25,000 kwacha. It's a small support to establish a mechanism for creating a bioreactor. She came up with an idea of a bioreactor. We supported for come up with the bioreactor equipment. She's doing trials. She was our former students. Now she elevated from research assistant to researcher and also get a full-time employment in our department. We took a student become a researcher within our institutions. That's a level we begin. Then the second attempt we already made. The education department, they want to work with the ECDC center to increase their uptake. So currently it's under assessment. We were trying to see how the individual research of a particular staff member is viable and also contributing to the community directly. That's the mechanism we were trying to assess.
Okay, so it's in progress, but you have
Yes.
some concrete examples of specific projects where you're A, trying to stimulate the faculty to propose projects, and B,
Yes.
measuring impact of those respective projects.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, it's create healthy competition among the staff members.
Healthy competition. Okay,
Yes.
good. Thank you so much. Okay, there will be more questions, but I would like to now, if we could move on to our colleague from Extremadura um, to take the second presentation, and then we'll do a round at the end for both speakers. So Gemma Delicado is currently the General Coordinator of the EU Green European Alliance, which means European University Alliance for Sustainability, Responsible Growth, Inclusive Education and Environment. For those of you who don't know what we mean when we say European University Alliance, I'm sure Gemma will explain that. This is a very important concept and practice now that is happening across Europe, incentivized by the European Commission and relying upon universities in different EU countries to develop very integrated consortia for cooperation. The EU Green Alliance is composed of 9 universities, has 14 million euros in funding. Gemma holds a PhD in languages and literature from the University of Chicago. She has also obtained a Master of Arts at Western Michigan University and attended Kalamazoo College in the United States. She is an associate professor for the English department at the University of Extremadura in Spain, where she also teaches Spanish as a foreign language. She was appointed Director for International Affairs and Mobility in 2019, and prior to that was Associate Dean for International Affairs and Mobility, and has also been a member of many different committees, including committees related to the Bologna process and the respective work groups in her institution. So thank you so much for being here. Gemma, we look forward to hearing about your institution and about the EU Green Alliance. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Before I share the presentation, I would like to say thank you so much to Obriel for giving me this opportunity to talk about EU Green and to talk about engagement. I still believe that it's kind of magic, the fact that I can talk to over 100 of people all over the world, people from Kenya, Senegal, Argentina, Mexico, Cape Town. I'm sure I'm forgetting so many places. I'm sorry, I know you're there. But it's a real honor and a privilege to be here. So I hope I can engage you as much as we are engaged here in this wonderful consortia and alliance. And I'm going to share the presentation. Please let me know if you can read it. Can you read my presentation?
Yes,
Yes.
we can see it.
Yes. Okay, so thank you so much. I'm a little bit nervous, I have to confess, because talking to so many people all over the world, it's so fascinating for me. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so my presentation is entitled Engagement for Sustainable Societies and Economies. Okay, so Elizabeth was advancing some information about European Universities Alliances, and some of you may have heard about it, some others maybe don't, maybe it's new for you. So as she mentioned, this is like the new flagship initiative coming from the European Commission, okay? So when people ask me to talk about alliances or EU Green, I have to go back to Emmanuel Macron. In a speech at the University of Sorbonne a few years ago, he coined this title or concept of European universities. What is inside European universities philosophy? The idea is that maybe by ourselves, although some of our universities, general universities in our countries are really good, but maybe we cannot be excellent like other universities are. So if we get together, if we create very solid networks, very solid consortia, we could be very excellent and compete with other universities all over the world. So the idea is that universities create networks with the philosophy of creating an inter-campus or an inter-university. So in the near future, we will become an only one university, okay? So the idea is that we not only create one inter-campus, which is a fascinating idea, but also that we face and try to get together and work together and collaborate together to face global challenges and social challenges, okay? So not only working for that and collaborating for that, we need to build bridges with other continents. For example, when we wrote the proposal for the European University for EU Green, we promised them that the University of Extremadura will be a bridge for our partners with our Latin American partners. Okay, the University of Extremadura has been working for decades with Latin American universities. So the idea was to create bridges inside the alliance, but also outside the alliance with so many, with the rest of the countries. Up to now, the idea is that by the end of the year 2024, there will be 60 European universities, okay? And that's something huge because 60 European universities involves more than 500 higher education institutions, okay? And most of us are higher education institutions, universities, but there are some also some music academies and other institutions. So the idea is that we try to offer students that come to be trained in our network or alliance a quality seal, okay? Because we consider ourselves the universities of the future. The European Union announced that universities that are not part of the alliance or of any alliance at some points, they may not have, I mean, there is a priority for the European unions to fund those universities that are part of alliances. So if you're not part of an alliance, it will be very hard for you, for your university and institution to be funded for projects, Horizon, Interact, or any other call. So why is this important? Because it will be a better positioning for us. And also it will increase our international and global visibility. And of course, we will attract talent within Europe and outside Europe. And obviously, we will design together a strategy for the long run and the near future. So who we are 9 universities. We are at the periphery of our countries and regions. And most of us are about 2.5 or 3 hours away from main airports or the capital of our countries. And most of us are universities that are very attached to our regions. For example, the University of Extremadura, it's located in a huge region, but we are the only university here, and that's very common to the rest of our 8 partners. So our motto is sustainability, okay? Sustainability, but not only in the science fields, but in any other field, even the humanities and social sciences. So next, please. So I'm going to show you a map of who we are, a picture of EU Green, and you can see that in blue we have the University of Extremadura. In red you have Portugal. There we have the University of Évora. We've been collaborating with Évora since ages. Angers in France, Parma in Italy, the University of Magdeburg in Germany, the University of Gävle in Sweden, the University of Wrocław, Environmental and Life Sciences in Poland, and the University of Oradea in Romania. There is a university which is our partner, dear partner, the University of ATU, Atlantic Technological University. It may not be familiar for you because it's a new university. It's composed by 5 universities that mingled 1 year ago. So they merged as a university, and they are now called ATU and also merged with Ukraine. So the idea here, the idea that you can see in this map is that these 9 campuses, actually we have more than 9 campuses because some of our universities have more. For example, the University of Extremadura has 4 campuses, the University of ATU has 9, is that we create in the long run one inter-campus where our students can move, our faculty and staff can move, and where students from all over the world can come here and be trained in SDGs and sustainability in any sphere of knowledge. Next, please. Okay, so it's really, really important that we work with our communities to create opportunities from a global perspective. I said before that we are very attached to our territories, but it's very important that from our territories, from those regions, we try to solve some of the most important global issues, like, for example, depopulation of the territories or climate change, okay? So another of our aim is to educate and train our students in sustainability and SDGs, okay? And we have a very positive impact in all our societies. So next. Okay, so we have some axes of activity. I mean, we have more, but the main ones, as you may understand, because we are a higher education institution, it's education, research, innovation, service to society, and this one is very special. The last two ones, service to society and also European values. Okay, so it's in all the spheres of our network. We are very careful that we work for society, and in that collaboration and that effort that we are making to work for and with society, European values are included. Okay, next, please. Okay, I don't know if you're very familiar with European projects. I'm gonna summarize in like 20 seconds what a European project means. European projects usually are structured by work packages. Each work package or sphere or area is in charge of one field. For example, here in UWI, we have 9 work packages. It's very funny because when we talk to people who are not part of Ukraine, we talk about work packages and people give us weird faces. And because we are so much, into the project that we forget that we shouldn't use that terminology when we talk to external people. So we have 9 packages. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking about this, but just to tell you that the University of Extremadura's coordinators of the project, we coordinate work package number 1, which is governance, and work package number 9, which is communication. But today I'm here to talk about our work package number 5, which is engagement with society, which is a very, very important package and very transformative because we have debated about this so much. It's very, very important that universities go to society and society comes to university. It seems very easy and simple, but it's not that simple. It's very complex because so many times we can tell that universities are not listening or paying much attention to society requirements. And we think that thanks to UGreen, thanks to the UGreen Alliance, we're going to be more open to society and more engaged to society, and especially to because there are so many things that we do for and with society, but the problem is that we do not, or we are not measuring that impact of all the actions and activities that we've been doing in the past. So one of the things that UGreen, this alliance, this fascinating network is bringing to our universities is to introduce the measure of the quality and impact of all the actions that we've been doing for decades. So many actions, but that we have not been measuring properly. So next. Okay, so our work package number 5, it's, a huge package. When we wrote the proposal, we wrote pages and pages and pages for a package that it was super important for us. But basically, and in order to summarize, because time is limited today, it's our connection with external stakeholders, enterprises, nonprofit organizations, local governments, municipalities, communities, and regions, okay? So the idea is that these partners are actually essential to help designing challenge-driven research and challenge-driven learning experiences, okay? And we cannot forget in the process to involve students, okay, and staff, because we also noticed that at university so many times we behave top down instead of designing the processes in a bottom-up approach. So that's why in our alliance, students are involved in all the work packages. Actually, they have their own board in order to help us in all the work packages, but especially in the collaboration with society, with the aim of having a real impact. So we have many tasks, but I'm going to tell you only about the main two, which is the creation of an engagement hub. Okay, this is a platform that we believe it will create opportunities to connect society, especially between the university and industry, and university and stakeholders, NGOs, local communities, etc. And also the creation of an engagement commission that will take care of that engagement hub. Next. Okay, so I've been talking about measurement. Okay, so how are we going to measure all the actions that we design? They're already designed, but we are going to implement with society. We're going to measure them because we have an EU Green Engagement Action Plan. Okay, so through this action plan, which is our roadmap for enhancing engagement in societies, we're going to measure every single action, activity, and task. Okay, so this is our motivation, and within that, it will help us transforming ourselves, our universities, in much better and more connected to society and to the 21st century institutions. Okay, so next. So we already have actually a monitoring system, okay, which will be carried out throughout the life of this engagement plan. So this monitoring process, it's a combination of qualitative and quantitative methods to gather data. And obviously, it's a live document, and it will be evolving and creating new key performance indicators. If you're familiar with European projects or any other projects, you will be familiar with the term KPI, okay, which means key performance indicator. So that will be the way to monitor our engagement, okay? But it's very important that we are consistent across all the events and we measure, the same kind of events in order to have really valid and quality results. And then the engagement commission will have the responsibility to monitor the activities and to be in charge of this plan, okay? And this commission is the one that will report to our more technical board, because we have different boards at the university, at the EU Green Alliance, to the executive committee, because we have the rector's board, the Senate, which is composed by vice chancellors, and the executive committee, which is composed by 2 members of each partner university, and it's what we could say a more technical board. Okay, so they will report to the EC. Next. Okay, so we have a specific target audience to monitor. We have the general public and community groups. Okay, so in order to monitor the impacts of the activities that we will be implementing, we will create surveys, and obviously they will, those services will be disseminated via different media or via email or even on paper if necessary, in order to obtain, their opinion and perspectives on what we're doing. Apart from the general public and community groups, we will reach businesses and industries and our governments, regional and even national governments, also our municipalities, with also surveys or other types of questionnaires that will help us with, obtaining results. And of course, educational institutions at different levels, and also international stakeholders that support EU Green. So we have also within this engagement hub, we will reach primary schools, secondary schools, higher education institutions. I mentioned industries, municipalities, and all that that have been mentioned before. Next, please. Okay, so in order to summarize, because I think I only have a couple of minutes left, our idea is to find connections and networks with society, okay? To continue with these committed actions that are inside our engagement action plan, and to make EU Green a magnet to connect our different partners, okay? Obviously, the activities will be co-designed by the 9 partners. Sometimes it's very difficult to design activities within one university. Imagine co-designing activities in 9 languages, 9 cultures, 9 different countries, and work philosophies, but at the same time, it's fascinating. We will work across all the different packages. I already mentioned that we have 9, okay? So the interrelation of our packages is very important, okay? This collaboration with society needs to have implied European values. Nobody should be left behind, should be inclusive, etc. Okay, and we're starting to implement some of the activities that we designed, because during our first year we have been landing the activities that we designed during the proposal stage, okay? So, but some of them will be repeated annually. And obviously we will be communicating this activity, disseminating these activities using different tools, and obviously providing training to our faculty and staff and students in case they need it, okay? And obviously this is a live process. It's the first time we do this. As I always mention, the alliances that have more experience, what we call the old alliances, only have 5 years of experience. So all these processes are super new for everybody. It's try and fail and learn the lessons and try again. And we will be reviewing our processes. And the next one. Okay, because I'm talking now about our universities, because we obviously know that the relationship between universities and society is super significant. In the case, for example, of the University of Extremadura, all the offices for vice chancellors and the rector's office is involved in the collaboration and in the engagement with society. And we do so many activities. I'm going to mention some of them, for example, cultural events, exhibitions. We have our publishing services. We have libraries open for societies. We have something super interesting, which is a lifelong learning program, which is called Universidad de los Mayores, where we allowed adults that are over 55 to attend university at a special program designed for them, where there are no exams, only classes and field trips. And it's a very, very, very good case of a study. The thing is that we've been, designing and implementing these kind of activities for decades. But we have not been measuring the impact of these activities in society. So we are very positive that now that we're coordinating the Alliance and we're part of EU Green, and thanks to this work package number 5, which is including the engagement plan and the measure of the impacts and the quality of our activities, we will become much, much better here, because we will be able to learn how to measure these activities that we've been doing for so long. Okay, next. So what's left? I just mentioned that measurement, okay? Measurement, it's super important. We need to do that. We've been doing it, but not in, in a large way, including all the spheres. Maybe we've been measuring some activities in silos, but we don't have the big picture. So it's very important that through UGreen, we start measuring it as a strategy for our university and for the 9 universities that compose UGreen. Also, internationalization of universities. This is very, very clear, and maybe you're thinking that's basic, but when we think about internationalization, usually we know that our universities are internationalized, but usually it's the Office for International Affairs which is internationalized, but not the rest of the offices and services. So thanks to UGreen, thanks to the opportunity of being part of a network like UGreen, we will try to make more international those services that were not traditionally internationalized, okay? Also to adapt our university to societal requirements. Through this work package number 5, we will be in contact with society, we will be listening to society, we will be collaborating to society, and we will be able to adapt our degrees, BA degrees, master programs, PhD programs in connection with society, with industry, with our regions, because our mission, we're public universities, the nine of us, is a public mission, okay? And the final one, it's the integration of the SDGs, okay? In all the spheres, not only in the syllabi of our classes, but also in the activities that we implement for students, in the teacher training that we provide for professors, in the training that we provide for our staff, everywhere the sustainability and the SDGs will be included in our network. And that's basically it. I think the next slide is the final one. So thank you so much for the opportunity. It was very difficult to summarize what an European alliance is. If there are questions, I can help you now after I finish.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gemma. Yeah, I think you've done it very well. I think if participants probably have a lot to wrap their heads around, because particularly if you're coming from Latin America or from Africa, you might not be familiarized with this university alliance concept, which has very much dominated the cooperation landscape in Europe over the past 5 years or so. I think what I take away from Gemma's presentation, amongst many interesting points she made, is that this alliance, which is a project, but it's much more than a project in a lot of senses, because it's really a whole institutional project with a longer term perspective that does have seed funding, but it's a way to integrate on many different dimensions with other like institutions across the European higher education area. And this particular project has given you, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's given you a boost or a leverage to rethink your monitoring system, to rethink how you monitor engagement. And I think that's fascinating, because sometimes it takes that external impetus to, at least from an institutional perspective, reinvent or create new approaches and procedures and new incentives in terms of measuring impact. So I think that's particularly interesting. There's a couple comments and questions in the chat. Basically, I think several people are interested in knowing more about your monitoring system and your KPIs. And one comment here is that, what could you share about that monitoring system that would help the participants to understand it better? And how do you avoid that it becomes sort of a tick box approach to managing engagement that maybe is more superficial in terms of, or satisfactory in terms of reporting on a project level to the European Union, but not necessarily capturing the qualitative measurement aspects that might be so important to measure?
very complex, but super intelligent and smart questions. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if I completely understood both questions. I'm gonna answer what I thought you were asking me, but then of course, if I do not reply properly, just let me know. There is something very, very interesting that you have mentioned, and I didn't have time to mention, but I think that you understood it perfectly. It's the difference between project and alliance, okay? We're a project because we are funded by the European Union. We got 18 million funding because we are also co-funding the project, okay? But beyond the project, we have the alliance, okay? And the idea of the European Union is that with this money, we create this solid base for an alliance, okay? So for the next 40 years, we will be working in connecting our faculty, connecting our researchers, connecting our students, connecting our services in order to create one intercampus. Imagine one campus of 9 universities where the students go to the platform, okay? They type their ID and they can also magically, find 9 universities, 9 libraries, the services of the 9 universities. And that's an alliance umbrella. Is beyond the project, much more beyond the project. So the idea of the European Union is that we will be funded for 4 years. They informed us in February in Brussels that second funding will come in 2026, 2027 for 2 more years, and then more funded after those 2 years of 7 years. So we're thinking about a panorama of a 12-year perspective, which is a lot, that will allow us to create an alliance after the project finishes, okay? So really fascinating. And the measure, it's really important here because we need to prove the European Union that we are doing great. It's not easy because the European Union, it's very, very, very strict in the monetary system, okay? Actually, even them, we have the feeling, not only me as a general coordinator of UBRI, but other alliances, that sometimes they are lost in translation of what they should ask us in the monitoring revision, okay? Actually, we are part of the third call because the 2 first calls for European alliances were pilots, and we won the funding in the third call. And the way they were monitoring the first and second pilot, for example, in budget terms, has changed for us. They are trying to make our lives easier in terms of monitoring our budget. So, and I think this will be very important for this session. They don't want us to tell them about every single cent we are spending. They want us to prove that all the activities that we have planned reach excellent quality and impact. And if we do that, if we are able to reach excellent quality, we will receive the money, okay? So monitoring sometimes is uncertain. It's changing, okay? And I'm not sure if I can respond to that question, but because it's really technical questions, maybe if you have specific questions, I can type my email here and you can reach me and I could help you with your specific questions. But there are so many things that we need to inform about to the European Commission that I don't think I could answer that question here. Sorry.
But thank you for the invitation to also exchange privately and bilaterally. And if you have any open source resources on your monitoring system that we could share with the participants via our webinar platform, because we have a resource section in our webinar platform, that would be great. So if you have anything you could, examples, case studies, examples of KPIs, we could share that. We are running very tight on time, but I want to give each of our speakers a chance to comment again. There were 2 additional questions that I noted in the chat, and I would invite either of you to comment on them or to make a general reflection as we close this webinar today. The first question had to do with staff promotion and to what extent engagement or impact when it comes to engagement is considered in staff promotion schemes in your institutions? I know this is a complicated question, and it's not always up to the institution as such. It's sometimes up to the system. But if you could potentially address that question. There was also a specific question about how, in the case of the EU Green Alliance, how was the partnership decided? How was it first created? How did you identify your partners? And I think that question could also be translated somewhat to the context of Professor Maria-Jeanne, in terms of how you partner, so how you identify partners for engagement. You gave some examples in your presentation, which again, very different than the EU University Alliance, which is a kind of a different animal, but you gave some examples of international partnerships that you had cultivated for local impact. So if you could talk a little bit about the how of identifying partners, and how you nurture those partnerships, that would also be helpful. If you could each just maybe limit your last interventions to just 2 minutes or so, because we do have to close, that would be great. And perhaps Dr. Maria-Jeanne, I will give you the floor first.
Thank you. I will take it up within 2 minutes time. Mostly, I want to bring 2 examples. One is this year, International Law Network Conference for Southern Africa. It happened at Livingstone. So one of our faculty member who is active in research cluster took part that meeting conference. He made a presentation about the cluster level activities, about mining research, this and that. That presentation attracted University of Johannesburg and also University of Kent. So these 2 universities were had a deep discussion with the faculty member who made a engagement are in pipeline. But our experience when it comes to reaching a day-to-day partnership. So the issue is going to be the grudge. For example, dementia is one of the key issue which Zambia is nowadays affecting, because the treatment mechanism is not reliable here. But there are evidence-based practice in UK. So the UK universities are willing to share their experience in Zambia. So we established a connection between Huddersfield and UNICA. So that's how there is a need for Zambia to learn FIDS. So that FIDS, that need is satisfied from UK partner sites. We're trained on dementia care. So there is a need is necessary. To meet that need, you are going to get a right pathway for your engagement. That's all from my side for the question number 1. The promotion, yeah, we have a policy, university promotion and promotion policy, which guided by Higher Education Authority. Each universities, we were submitted our promotion policies to Higher Education Authority, but when it comes to practice, still we were facing challenges within the university as well as outside the university, because the policy guidelines, it says the policy is supposed to create a free movement between faculty members from one university to another university with the same positions. But there is no national level mechanisms to facilitate this one. That's why even university level, we are facing challenges to create this pathway. How many engagement you created, how many publications you made, there are targets are there. But when it comes to practice, still it is a problem, because you need to align with other universities as well. So it's really a challenge, I'm saying.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that gives us a bit of a flavor, but I'm sure you're not the only institution or system that is challenged with that. Okay, Gemma, the floor is to you for the final intervention. If you could keep it short, that would be great. And you're welcome to address either or both questions.
Yeah, it's very difficult to keep it short because we've been working for like more than 4 years now.
I know.
And I'm super excited to read all the comments in the audience from Africa and from other continents, and that use EU Green as a good case to replicate in their countries or continents. We started with the to being honest, with the University of Évora. They are like our family. They are close, a very close institution near where, you know, Extremadura is at the border of Portugal. So we've been collaborating with Évora for ages. Also with the University of Parma, which is also like an extended family partner. And with these three, Parma, Évora, and Extremadura, we decided to create geographical balance, because we know that the European Union likes that. That we have southern countries, northern countries, and countries in the east. So we looked for general universities that were similar to us, but that could be very helpful in the near future once we offer joint degrees, joint master programs, and joint PhD programs, in order to offer excellence here. So also to balance our weaknesses and to be able to enrich our strengths. So that's why we looked basically for similar universities in a balance, in a geographical balance within Europe, and universities with some of them were new for us. They were partners of partners. For example, ATU, we didn't have any collaboration with them, but it's been great to form the network. The most difficult part here was not creating the network, but to find a great motto for the 9 universities. We thought about, because together we were very good at food technology, at medicine, nursing, but we needed to find a motto where everyone felt comfortable and we could be able to offer very good and excellent joint programs. And the motto was peripheral universities for the SDGs. But it took us a while, a few months, to find the motto, because so many things came to our minds. And at the end, we needed to hire a company, an external company that helped us to see from an external perspective where and how and what we could be doing together in a more excellent way, because we had so many ideas, but we needed to pick one. And finally, our motto was peripheral universities for the SDGs. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing that experience. I know colleagues will have lots of questions about the EU University Alliances, so I encourage them to visit that. There is a centralized website that the European Commission hosts, where you can see all of the alliances, and I'm sure Gemma would also be delighted to engage with you. Thank you as well, Professor Maria Jean. Thank you so much for that interesting case study from Zambia. I think what's rich about this webinar series is that we really see very diverse contexts. We see resource-rich contexts, we see resource-limited contexts, we see contexts with strong policy frameworks, we see contexts with perhaps weaker policy frameworks. And I think we've also found, despite that diversity, pockets of really interesting practice. And I would like to thank you as well for your honesty about the challenges, because that's also what we're here to discuss. We have to close for today. I'm afraid that time is not with us. The presentations will be shared. We have a resource space, like I said before, on the webinar series website on our platform, the Oberel Global Training Platform, where we welcome you to visit additional resources and materials that will be posted, and also to revisit the presentations. Special thanks to our speakers, excellent. And as you will see in the chat, there's a lot of congratulations coming your way. I would also like to remind participants that we have our next webinar coming up on the 31st of May on the topic of engaged HEI for innovation, quadruple and quintuple helix models for knowledge co-production. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and we look forward to seeing you next time. And many thanks again to our excellent speakers.